is Trump-like? Let's see. What else would make that comparison?
Isn't he self-funding?
He is self-funding.
But that's
Isn't
why.
he self-funding?
But that's why.
That is another similarity. That is.
But that's why
Okay,
I
go
like
hand in
Michael's
hand.
idea, where Michael said that, and they kind of bounced off of that, and no, he didn't really answer that. Michael's idea was that Shree should run as lieutenant governor, Gretchen governor, and
that
throw
would be
his money into
fucking
that
cool.
campaign and get themselves elected, because that could beat Bill Schuette in a heartbeat. And Michael suggested
having
that,
a
and then it was.
unified
I mean, he
front
kind of
up
bounced over
there-
there. That would be awesome.
Did you talk about
I asked them if they thought about that.
Yeah.
commuting
But he
sentences?
didn't really answer that.
What
he,
about-
he is
They can beat each
for.
other up
He said he
down
would
the path.
pardon.
He said he would. He said he would
Pardon.
Pardon.
See, I think that's pretty cool that all three of the Democratic candidate contenders have come out and said that they'll pardon all
Yeah, that's
nonviolent
awesome.
marijuana offenses.
Executive branch contenders.
I mean, I think that's significant.
It's
and
important.
the
big name candidates.
the Democrats are all in support of it too, as
Right.
far as the Attorney General, so it won't be overturned by them. I mean, that's the way that you get people out of jail and prison, probably.
Yes.
Really.
Yeah.
I don't know outside of that there's any really good way to do it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. But I do know that I don't think Pat Miles would be in support of commuting some of these people's sentences. I mean, I might be wrong.
Well, certainly not the people that he put in prison.
Yeah.
He might want to wait to see how the federal government comes out on marijuana.
Yeah,
I recall him saying something like that.
Yeah, he's-
There's a lot of
he's-
uncertainty right now. The
a lot
federal
of-
government's
yeah.
studying it right now. We should wait to see what they say.
That was the shit that he put on the Let It Rip.
Whatever. I don't know what
It's
that's what I remember him
crap.
saying. That's
It's
about
the
most
same
non-informed
rhetoric.
Pat Miles.
position that somebody could
Empty
think about marijuana.
envelope.
Waiting for the federal government. The federal government is the problem.
Exactly.
They're the biggest liars about it. They own a patent on it. They're locking people up for, and they know that it's a medicine. I mean, how
It's bad. It's really bad, and it's Chad and I were talking earlier that it's hard to be a Democrat right now, and it's difficult.
Ched said that? Ched never admitted that.
I said
It's
it,
very
that's what I was
difficult.
gonna
but
say.
we
I've
were
never
talking about
ever heard Ched say
some
that.
of the
I think Ched should admit that.
some of the strife in the party,
Yeah.
I think
and
Ched-
it is
It's going to be impossible if they make the wrong decision on Dana Nessel. It will remain. It will be impossible to be a.
Don't be shocked if they do, Chad, because
I know.
would
I'm not
going
gonna
to
be shocked.
if they do.
I'm
No, I know.
just saying it's a litmus
not
test
over,
for
and
me.
the
A
com-
final
the,
No,
litmus
I
test.
think we've
probably.
got
at the convention
We've
is what
got
it's
a
going
big.
to dictate.
We've got a good chance. I believe we have
Yeah.
a good chance at it, but don't be
But
shocked.
only
because
upon
if they're going
execution
to
of the
push
plan.
back. Yeah, and they're going to push back, but I think
Listen,
we can
if
beat
there's
it.
look, she's in the running.
Yeah,
if
oh,
she's
hell-
going to
hell yeah.
lose, it's going to be because there's not a showing at the convention.
Exactly.
We got to have a
Exactly.
shitload of people there,
Everybody.
that's why Schuyler needs
and
to
we got to have a
register.
lot of people
Schuyler.
from all over the state.
Schuyler, that
all
could
over
be,
the
it
state.
could be one vote.
The
Or
more,
you
the
and-
more remote, the better.
He's from the special county that threw it for the country. If you think
Yeah. See, I'm from Macomb County too. I'm doing my penance by voting for Dana Schuyler.
Exactly, I am too. And I wrote a check, and I'm voting for Dana.
All right, so I kind of
Doing it both.
Prove that. So,
Schuyler.
don't put any attention on him. He's not
so
here. Okay, you want to talk?
are we still on the show?
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah, we're still on the
Yeah.
show,
Radio
Schuyler.
show. What do you want? I mean, come on.
What
You can't talk
the
freely
big live
yet,
sign
Schuyler.
didn't throw it off.
Did we talk about the petitions yet?
No,
Chad,
what's
why
the
don't you now?
latest
Update
latest
us. Let
news?
us
Come
know,
on now,
Chad, what's
Chad.
up?
Oh, okay.
Is autism approved yet, Chad?
There were 115 petitions submitted.
Explain that. Explain what we did.
T-Pain
Don't blame T-Pain.
wrote
We did this together.
many petitions, and he did a significant amount of research and built a very strong case on a number of different conditions. And in that course of that research, which was focused mainly around the federal patent on marijuana as a neuroprotectant and antioxidant, which names many, many conditions in there, and the other states that have had conditions approved in that amount of time. since the last petition was
10.
submitted, there have been
10.
many states
20.
that have passed, many conditions, and those are all included now in a set of petitions.
From our original autism petition that we filed, there's 20 additional studies.
And and some of the previous petitions had a lot of updated materials. We resubmitted asthma, we resubmitted insomnia, we resubmitted anxiety, depression. These things are going to be resubmitted to the panel, and
Opioid addiction treatment.
that was not picked up, unfortunately. We submitted it, but it was not accepted, and we're going to have to go through a process of wrangling with the department on getting a few of the remaining petitions pushed through, but several of the ones that we really wanted to have go really went. Parkinson's is back in there, Tourette's. Autism is back in there, and so we'll also have 2 years plus of people treating themselves for PTSD and other conditions that will be able to testify that marijuana has also helped them with their anxiety or depression or insomnia. So even if it's not your primary condition, testifying for these other conditions is going to be helpful, and the condition could ultimately be approved. And normalizing the medical use of marijuana for many conditions, not just severe and debilitating conditions, I think goes a long way towards the acceptance of marijuana as it really should be.
And one of the most compelling, just to add to one of the things Chad said, when we went through the litigation of the autism petition, many people may not remember, our client son had been qualified as for epilepsy, muscle spasms or whatnot.
Yeah.
And he also was diagnosed with autism, severe. Jim, you can help speak on this. You're familiar with the family and the treatment. And they, not only were his muscle spasms reduced and even eliminated, they realized that it began to... so autism stopped, went away, started to speak, became less violent, more social. Am I right, Jim? What do you say about and report on what's happened since then, if you know? Lisa Smith was her name. She
and
did leave the state,
they've since left the state. But the transformation with Noah was it was rather remarkable. I wouldn't say it's terribly uncommon. It's certainly not a sure thing for every child, but Noah's certainly not the first child that has improved that significantly in such a short duration. I think the biggest challenge in Michigan right now is that a lot of the parents that want to treat their children are very concerned because their child doesn't qualify under another symptom, and some parents are quote unquote lucky enough that their child qualifies for epilepsy or for chronic pain or nausea and is able to try this treatment, but it really needs to be expanded. And a lot of these autistic children, they're a handful, and these parents they really love their kids and they want the best for their kids. And as these kids get older and the conditions worsen, it can be uncontrollable. And there's been so many cases of these children, years ago would end up in the mental hospitals, which no longer exist. So when the parents are no longer able to care for the children, where do they go? The high-functioning ones sometimes can go into society. Sometimes they end up in jail. I mean, it's horrible. And to have a treatment like this that could help prevent it and help the disease to regress instead of progress.
We also submitted self-injurious behavior and chronic irritability syndrome but those were also denied. So we've still got a big job to do to go back and look through the responses that we got from Laura and understand, why they rejected certain petitions, and then go through a resubmission process. So there will be another raft of petitions that flow through. There were 22 that were accepted, and that list is posted on the MichiganMedicalMarijuana.org website in the thread there that is appropriately named about the new conditions. You can search it, but it's pretty active also, so it kind of pops up there. But we'll be talking about that, I think, over the next few months as it works through the process. We'll get certain signals, and we'll share that with people, and we'll share the process of resubmitting certain petitions also, because that's going to create another wave of new conditions as well, I believe.
And hopefully they'll just do the right thing, and the legislature will just modify the law and modify it the way that it should have read.
Anything that a doctor
Right.
recommends it for.
Exactly. And that makes it very clear. And you go to the doctor, it's in the doctor's hands, and the doctor is the one ultimately making the choice as to whether it's appropriate for part of your plan for treatment of whatever condition you have. So, well, we're approaching the top of the hour. Had a pretty good show tonight. Still a lot of questions, I think.
Ask one.
All right. What's going on in legal land, Michael? It seems like you've always got something exciting going on. I feel like lately I've seen you and you've been fairly relaxed, which has been quite atypical. So is
I'm acting.
Bravo.
No, you still got cases. They're still going on. We're looking like it all stopped. Like there's no more criminal cases.
I don't
Still
know.
sending people
Did
to
the
jail.
courts
They're
shut
charging
down,
people with
or
felonies, or
I don't know.
raiding homes, kicking in doors? I mean, taking people's money.
Yeah.
It is, but as it happens, I ranted at the beginning, or what was that? It was good to see this court. It's hard winning a Fourth Amendment issue. I don't care. It's hard, but it just shows you the depth by which this goes on. I mean, I don't know if I shoot a dead target 100 times, Jeff. How many times I got one right here, which is, they were going to appeal it. The whole thing would have been probably, if they got to the Court of Appeals, I think they missed the deadline. They're just going to let it alone or something. But I don't know. I mean, I think the federal, But then, and then this one, it's, it just goes on all the time. It just goes on all the time. I want to check that Ricky Brown case. I think they are law net officers that we've had in other cases, just so, you know what I mean? It's, that's just the way they've been doing it, Yeah, there's some other good stuff. I think the most resounding thing is that there's so much deference given to the police, which is fine. Me and Jeff, we've been analyzing some issues in this one case. In any disputed fact, we just, there's like, a disputed fact. It's like, it's not for the officer, what they said and we said, it's just, and you got a court that's evaluated. It's just a very difficult road to hoe. There's no easier way to say it. And, but it is amazing that there's such a lack of real training. I was inspired by Ted Nelson, who spoke at the forfeiture, and is the one that trained the police, and is very, very outspoken, and been showed up for Charmy's birthday in downtown Port Huron for talk about forfeiture reform. Listen to the community yell and scream that he had nothing to do with, But he talking to him a couple weeks ago, and he was discussing how when they would do a raid, and before they went in, they would have already gotten the bank records of the person that they were investigating, so that when they got into the house, they would know what would be expected of how much they should have, and if their, tax filing